Hey, Addie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. So, when did you say your play happens?
Well, I'm at Art Center right now, as you might be able to tell, and our play is on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, so how are you feeling like you're ready for it?
Yes, pretty ready.
You have all
There's
your lines memorized?
most of them at least. I don't have a terribly large part,
Okay.
but it's still a lot of lines. Last year I was the lead and I had like over 100 lines, so it was quite a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Yes.
Very cool.
It was.
And so, do a lot of people come to these performances?
Yes. We have, like, if I turn it around, you can see our space. So it's full for both of the performances. Like, people are standing. So it's
Oh, wow.
a very big event. Yes.
Awesome. So, how are you feeling about your concentration and everything that you're doing so far?
I'm feeling great. I am sorry that I was only able to submit the backdrops.
It's okay.
Yes, it was a very long, cold morning.
It
And
sounded like it.
so I worked on finishing, like I did some of the work on my illuminated manuscript
Awesome.
with like the windows open and standing in front of them, and it was very cool. So I have it here if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, let me see. Tell me when you can see it, because I can't see me because we had a plug-in failure
I
or
can
something.
see like half of it. If you put it right in front of your face, I'll be able to see the whole thing.
Got it?
And then up a little bit. Perfect. Talk, because then Google will pop you back to my main screen.
Okay, so it's my friend's toy box, and he is a professional puppeteer. So I'm still working on his arms because they look very funny right now. But it's his birthday on Sunday, so I'm going to send it to him.
Cool. Make sure you take an excellent photograph of it before you send it away.
Well, I'm not going to send it to him physically. I'm just going to.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
Perfect. So how many concentration pieces do you have done now?
I have 8.
Okay, so you're in pretty good shape.
Yes. And I'm going to try to get all 4 of them done this week, but hopefully at least 2.
Okay.
Yes.
I will. Yeah, I was looking at all your backdrops, and what did you asked me if the first one, the blue one, was too saturated?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Well, Mom was looking at it, and she thought that it might be a little bit too dark, but it's my favorite, so I'm really hoping it's not. But what do you think?
I don't think it is at this point. I mean, some of that always depends on where you're going next with it, but I mean, the whole thing isn't dark, so you have some lights up in the one upper corner. What are you thinking is kind of going on top?
Well, there are going to be waves on it, so the way I did Storm, the hurricane type shape, I'm going to do the same thing with waves, and it's going to be like a big wave and then a couple little waves underneath of that.
Yeah, I think that'll be okay because it's going to bring in, plus a storm is kind of like a dark thing. So I think that you're fine thus far. You're more than welcome to, if when you get a little bit farther, if you're still feeling kind of unsure, to send me another photo before you have it totally finished.
Okay, I will do that. Trying to think of anything else. Well, I'm very excited about the other backdrop that I just did, which is that could have bashed the little bird. I really like that one.
So how do you go about deciding what you're doing for your backgrounds?
Well, I always mess up like the first one, so I always paint about 2 or 2.5. Sounds very awkward, but it's true. And if I don't like it, from the get-go. I try to work with it, and then if I still don't like it, I paint another one. So I decide because I think about a little bird would be bright in color and kind of cheerful, so that's why I had the yellow and the pink. And then when I think of a bashing something or somebody, I think of a darker color and tone, but with the yellow rising above it in this case. So I kind of try to think about the symbolic coloring of the pieces
Good.
and lines.
Very
Yes.
good.
I really like working on it. It's been fun.
Well, that's good. It's always helpful if you like doing what you're working on. Some people have a lot of trouble kind of carrying one idea through 12 pieces and get sick of working on it for that whole time.
Yes.
So it's good if you're continuing to enjoy it. Do you have any plans for over your holiday break?
Well, our grandparents are coming up, which is very fun, and we don't see them often because they live in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be driving up for our cousins or second cousins, or I've never met the cousin. Their wedding is in Virginia, and then they're just coming up afterwards and staying for about 5 days, and that's going to be very fun. And
Cool.
my favorite part of Christmas break is making Christmas presents. I start in like November, and it's terribly fun and wonderful. I have, I think, 3.5 done now out of the 5.
Excellent.
Yes. I am going to close the page because it is, I can't see you and I can't see me.
Okay.
So I'm going to see if I can do something about that.
Figure that out. All right. So it looks like Natalia's on. Addie, can you just disappeared. And Kaylee's on. So ladies, we're going to give everybody like 3 more minutes to kind of hop on, and then we're going to start looking at everybody's concentrations and chatting. If you have any questions about what you're doing that you want to ask me right now, you're more than welcome to. Addie, can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay, that will be much better for you.
Yes.
So we will, I don't have everybody's concentrations together as a whole yet, so we're going to look at the ones that I do have together as a whole and go over some questions that you guys are going to respond to about them. And then you should all, I started sending some email responses back this morning, and we'll continue doing more tomorrow. So I'm kind of going through that monster of a rubric that you went through. So once you send me all the pieces and your responses to that rubric, then I'm going back in and doing a critique and feedback for you really specifically based on the rubric. So, and I'm going to do them as audio versions that I just send to you because it's going to go so much faster and I think be clearer than me typing everything out because there's a lot to cover in the rubric. RJ just popped on. Hi, RJ.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm doing really good.
Good.
Very well.
All right. So, Jared and Parker might hop on, but I know that Addie has to jump off a little bit early to go to play practice, and I'm assuming that all of the rest of you have a lot of work to do as well, so we're just going to go ahead and jump in and get started. So, I'm going to be sharing my screen with you so that you can see everybody's concentration together, and then I will be asking some questions to help guide the conversation with you. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen. And all right, can you let me know, are you seeing my computer screen?
Oh yeah, I can see it right now. Just this weird thing where it's like an endless tunnel.
Has the endless tunnel disappeared yet?
Okay, it just did. There we go.
Okay. I know, it always starts out as a wild, endless tunnel. Oh, sorry, I switched screens and that's what makes it go crazy. Okay. All right, it looks like Jared and Parker just hopped on, which is awesome since their concentration is first. So when your concentration comes up, if you can just jump on and tell us what your concentration statement is, and then we'll go into the critique process. So if we can get a concentration statement for this one. Maybe Jared and Parker aren't ready. Natalia says, I can't see anything but the video screen. Dang.
Same here.
So no one can,
yeah.
no one can see the slideshow right now?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see if I can fix that for you because that's not helpful. So, give this another try. Can you now see the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. I can see it now.
All right, everybody's saying yes. Excellent. Okay, I haven't quite heard from Jared or Parker yet. So what we're going to do is just skip down and give them some time to catch up, and then we'll come back. So if we can get a quick review of the concentration statement for this lovely food that we're looking at, and then we'll chat.
Or did you not know that I was innocent?
Okay, so Jessica's telling us my concentration was food from around the world. So, and any of you are welcome to chime in, but the first thing that I want you to think about, so one of the big things that we're trying to figure out is how to show transformation through the work. And so Jessica's put her pieces in the order that she thinks best demonstrates transformation. So I want you to take some time, look at these pieces, and then you're going to think about two different things. So one, do you agree with the order that she has them in, or do you think the order needs to be changed? And then two, I want you to identify two things that you think demonstrate transformation. And you can either speak or type.
I think it's in pretty good order. I like the pancakes and the macarons the best. However, I think maybe if you're going in order of maybe if your technique is getting better and better, I'd maybe put the avocados first, because I think personally the pancakes are at a stronger level than the avocados.
I agree with you. The pancakes are at a stronger level than the avocados, and Addie is saying she agrees with that.
I agree.
Okay, so we all agree.
I
We all want the pancakes.
I think also the burger is pretty high level in there. It's kind of small. I can't really tell you for sure, but from what I see right now, I really like the detail and depth of it. One touch that I liked a lot is how you included the flags in both the avocado and the burger.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that
sorry.
really corresponds to your concentration statement.
Yeah, so wow, since RJ brought up the flags, what I want you all to think about, so the other thing that we have to really figure out how to make a connection between is, does the concentration statement actually come through clearly in the work? So Jessica's concentration statement was, it's all about food from around the world. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think in some of Jessica's questions and kind of commentary back to me was wondering, are all of these clear enough? So obviously the hamburger and the avocado with the flags in make it pretty obvious what area of the world she's associating them with. So from all of your perspectives, do you think that her statement of food from around the world is coming through in all of these pieces?
I think, yeah. I think maybe, I don't know, the pancakes, when I look at it, I can't tell where it's supposed to be coming from, but I know, like, the sushi, that makes sense. I think the macaroons are from France, and I can tell the hamburgers from America, but I can't tell, like, the pancakes. Even though it's, like, really strong, you can't tell, like, where that's supposed to be from.
Okay. Jessica, can you and remind us where the pancakes are from? Okay, she said she wants to make them from Canada. I just don't know how yet. Any ideas on how we could make these pancakes more Canadian?
Well, actually, here's an idea. You don't have to use this, but if there's a way to maybe expand maybe you could do this digitally and maybe a little bit easier. I'm not sure how you could do this, but if you could, this may be a way. You could expand the picture a little bit and put beside it, like a bottle of maple syrup with like the Canadian flag on it, and then or like the maple leaf, and then it'll become.
Yeah, so that would be a way, most definitely, of playing. And you could, even if maybe that idea doesn't come into the pancake one, that's definitely an idea you could play off in some future ones as well. So if you were using like mustard or ketchup or any kind of condiments, you could make up your own labels for the bottles and have those labels kind of tell us where it's actually from. I think that's a really good idea, RJ. Way to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what we're going to do, we might come back to this one, but I want to make sure we get through everybody's before we run out of time, and then if we have more time, we'll visit some of them. I know Addie has to leave early, so we're going to jump down to hers. All right.
And just one question for the last one. For the artist of the last piece, where were the basil and the...
Oh, the tomato and basil?
Yeah.
They were from Italy.
Oh, Italy. Oh, okay, nice. I could see it now with the colors.
Yeah.
Nice, good job.
All right. So Addie, her concentration, she's working with illustrating a poem. So her concentration statement is hope is the thing with feathers.
I'm getting a copy of the poem right now. 1 sec.
Okay, she's going to get a copy of the note. And sorry, some of these are kind of small. Okay, so she just sent me a copy, so I'll read it to you all really quickly. So hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chilliest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. So, as you're looking at these pieces, what I want you to first address is what is one thing, so this obviously isn't finished, so assuming that Addie can just make anything happen that you request, what is one thing that you would like to see happen in this concentration as it moves forward? So maybe there's an element in her work that you really love and you want to see it more, or you're seeing the poem and that kind of brought an image to your mind. So it's one thing that you're like, oh, I would just really wish she would do this.
I really like that bottom left picture.
This one?
No, I don't know, maybe it's on the other side for you. But yeah, that one.
I don't know my right from my left.
Yeah, I like that one that you were just hovering over, the one with the bird and the blue background. I can't really tell the detail, but that looks like, just the way it's layered, it looks very strong. I think maybe if you keep adding, I'm not sure if that's words in the background, but that's a really good texture.
You can't really tell, but yes, there are words in each piece, and the first line is hope is the thing with feathers, so I have the full line, and then I have soul, and then sings on the big bird that's flying across the kind of yellow and pink backdrop, and then never never stops, and that one is my favorite, as well as I've heard it in the chillest land, which is the one with the bird on the blue backdrop.
Yeah.
I think that's, first of all, I just want to say that's a really creative idea, and I think your style really comes through on this one.
Thanks.
I feel that this could be like in an art book or something. It's really good.
So, just like we talked about in Jessica's, if you're looking at the order of these and thinking about what's the best way to show transformation, do you think any of these images need to be moved?
Is there any way of making it like a little bigger, maybe?
Let me try one thing. This might make it bigger, or the computer might go crazy. So hold on. Let's see. Did that make it any bigger?
Okay, that's a bit bigger.
Okay, I think that's as big as I can. Yeah, that's as big as I can get it. Or now I just made the computer go crazy. There we go.
Yeah, but it might, I guess you have it in order of the poem, so it might be really hard to mix it up.
Yes. Kind of get confusing.
That's a good point, and that's one of those things that when your concentrations are all finished, with each one of you, we'll have a independent meeting, and we'll have to decide which is more important. So is it more important to have them in the order to really tell the story of your concentration, or is it more important to have them in the order that demonstrates growth or transformation? So that's something. I mean, that's one pretty specific to Addie because she's dealing with a poem. RJ, yours may or may not be that way since you're kind of dealing with character development and also telling a bit of a story. So that's something to keep in mind and to think about.
Also, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, you go ahead.
Well, in the pieces there is string, which you can't really see, and it's kind of my favorite element because it symbolizes that Emily Dickinson was she was one of the very rare woman poets during the 1840s and 50s, and it was a time when women were expected to be sewing, and so I put thread on there. That's
something that you should include in your concentration commentary.
Didn't I? I thought I did. Maybe I didn't.
Did. I don't have it all in front of me, so I'm just some things I may be saying I already did. So what I want to hear from you, Addie, you and I were talking about this a little bit before everybody else popped on, but one of the categories on the scoring rubric is called decision making and discovery through investigation. So what I want you to talk about is reflect a little bit on your process out loud to us and tell us a little bit how you think you're demonstrating discovery through investigation.
Well, I'm not really sure Would you mind typing out the question so I can think it over a little bit more?
Well, basically, let me just rephrase it. I think I can make it easier than what I was jabbering about. So basically, what you're thinking about, you're sharing with us a little bit of your creative, your art-making process, and how
Yes.
you think you're demonstrating discovery through investigation.
Okay, got it now. I think that I am, first of all, in the media use, I think I'm becoming a lot more confident. I started out with lots and lots of different colors and layers, and I realized that there was a simpler way to do it, and I like that way better. So I think that that kind of shows improvement, and I also think that I'm becoming more confident with my subject matter. I have memorized the poem, and that really helps.
Mm-hmm.
And I can think while I'm working on one piece. I can think ahead about the next piece without having the poem in front of me, and I think that helps a lot with the discovery investigation, right?
I think you're also, as your pieces are coming in, you're getting a much better handle on composition and working with the elements and principles of art. So you're doing much better of allowing things to overlap and kind of creating movement, where in the beginning things felt a little bit more separated from each other on the canvas, where they're really starting to come together. So it is, you are really showing growth in each one of your pieces. Before we jump on to another person, is there anything else specifically that you would really like feedback on?
Well, I just want to say, great job with this. I really like how it's really unique angle that you're taking, and the color palette is really good.
I agree. It's a really unique idea, and I can tell once you said that those two pictures were representing your two favorite lines. To me, once you said that, I can see that. I don't know, they just stand out more. Maybe because you like the phrases more, maybe.
Yeah, it definitely shows up. All right.
And I'm sure as we go along, I think the color schemes also go well. Like, I'm looking at the poem that you posted on the chat, and I'm guessing which ones fit with if they're in chronological order, and I think that each line fits with like the color scheme and what you're showing. It fits with what you're saying very well.
Thank you.
It's a great job on that.
Well, all right, we're going to jump back up to the top because I know Jared and Parker, you usually have to leave early to go. All right, so can we have the concentration statement on this one? And then while we're waiting for that, I'm going to give you all the first question we're going to talk about, so you have a little bit of time to think about what you might want to say. So what we're going to talk about first on this one is one of the sections on the rubric is letter D, if you have it in front of you, evocative themes that engage the viewer. So what you all are going to think about, okay, Jared is not here, so we're going to switch over to Parker. Thanks, Parker. All right, Parker, you're up. Rock and roll. But we're still going to talk about evocative theme that engages the viewers. So that's what you guys are going to be thinking about. So do you think the overall, the concentration is evocative? Does it engage the viewer? If yes, what do you find engaging? If no, what would you like to see happen? All right, I'm going to be quiet now and let Parker tell us his concentration.
Do you want me to read the written response or just say it right now?
Whichever makes you happy.
Well, I'm just going to say both. Well, here's my written response. I said that childhood nightmares represent the most in-depth thoughts of children. From the howling into foreign monsters to the silent, ominous ghosts, nightmares are a visual representation of child's fears. Yet these frightening monsters are dependent upon their victims, reliant on the child's mind for their existence. For my concentration, I wish to show childhood nightmares not only as horrifying monsters, but also has fascinating creatures that reflect the child's developing imagination. In these pieces, I have shown, I tried to investigate and try new forms of nightmares and by using various mediums to incorporate the child's psychological fear and also the imagination and creativity of monsters.
Cool. So one thing I was curious about, and I think I typed you this question, but I can't remember if I did or not. When I'm looking at these, can you tell us a little bit about your process of getting ideas? So are these based on nightmares that you've had, or kind of where are you getting these inspirations for the nightmares and the story that you're telling?
Yes, I was wondering if people were about to think that I did have these nightmares, but some of them were, as you can see in the first monster, is a classical monster. It's the purple monster, along with some ghosts, which are more typical than others. But most of my nightmares inspiration come from from everyday life. For example, my future piece, which I'm currently working on, I'll be incorporating trees of the spiny form of trees, incorporate that into my designs. I also look online and research just various artists that have influenced me greatly, including the Polish painter. It's a complex name to spell, but his form and atmospheric effects greatly inspire me, and his color palette is really really effective in showing the ominous feeling of something dangerous or threatening.
Cool. So you're kind of pulling your inspiration from a lot of different places. I was hoping you didn't actually have all these nightmares. Cool. All right, so back to the rest of the class on your thoughts on if you think that this is an evocative theme that engages the viewer.
Very engaging, I think. I like it. I like this kind of stuff, and I think your style comes through again.
Okay. What do you find kind of the most engaging about it, RJ?
To me, I really like contrasting colors, like light colors showing like in a dark background or something, or the opposite. And I think the one in with the blue, I think it's the one with like the blue with the in the corner. I think that one is one of my favorites.
And why is that one of your favorites?
Because of the blue really pops out, because it's you use like kind of a grayscale kind of color, and it really sets the mood, and the blue pops out really well.
Cool.
I like your color palette as well. I think that.
Well, Kaylee, this question's for you, because I don't think we've heard from you yet based on my trying to recognize people's voices. So what I want you to address is, do you think overall, so this concentration topic is kind of narrowed down to the idea of childhood nightmares. Correct me if that's a bad paraphrase, Parker. Do you think that his concentration statement is showing up well in all of the pieces? And I should probably check if Kaylee's still on. I can't see all of you. Let's see. Yeah, Kaylee's still on. Okay. All right, so Kaylee says, I can't actually see the screen. Oh no, I'm having technical difficulties. Oh, that would be challenging, Kaylee. I'm going to say, can you hear me though, Kaylee? I'm guessing you can, or you wouldn't have answered that question. Okay, then if you're off the hook for a moment, what you might want to try and do, Kaylee, is, and it probably will take you off momentarily, is hit refresh and see if that helps you out. Because this is a rough conversation if you can't see what we're talking about. Before Addie jumped off, she wrote, yes, I really do. So this was to the question, is the evocative theme that engages the viewer? Yes, I really do. The monsters kind of make the viewer interested in studying the subject of the monsters and the child's expression. Cool. So Kaylee is currently refreshing, I believe. And so who do we have? Jessica, Natalia. All right, so Jessica, I'm going to put you on the spot for this next one. Actually, Parker, before I make up a question, is there anything specific that you really want to have feedback on?
I would like to have some critiques in the future because I'll be experimenting a lot with the composition. I have a variety of transformations I'm trying to do with my artworks. One is the gradual, the focus is going closer and closer to the child, as could be seen in the last two pieces here. And my other transformation is making the nightmare less ambiguous, less clear in its form, but just focusing on the energy and the psychological fear of the nightmare itself. And through all of these transformations, I'm trying to put my nightmares into a higher level to tell a story and to show a clear transformation throughout my works.
I mean, I think you definitely are thus far up to this point demonstrating a transformation. I mean, one, as we've talked about, you're showing us different perspectives from the monster and from the child, and you are changing how you're telling the story. Especially in this one right now, this is kind of where there feels like a big turning point, because the monster has kind of disappeared. We don't get a good view of that, and we have this reflection of a face in the child's hand, which does start to really push into this more psychological place, almost like the child looking back at themselves. So I think right now this one is almost like where you've started to turn somewhere. Do you think you see that as well?
Yes, I certainly do see that piece as a turning point for this portfolio.
Yeah, cool. All right. So I was picking on Jessica, I think. I have to make up a question for Jessica. Let's see. I'm just looking over the giant rubric that we have. Okay, so let's talk about letter D. So Jessica, what I want you to address, so letter D is the idea that you're seeing experimentation and risk-taking. So when you're looking at this, if you say, yes, I definitely see experimentation and risk-taking, if you can give one or two examples of where you see it, and if the answer is no, what might you hope to see? Okay, bye, Parker. You can just hop in and listen to the recording, and we'll keep on talking about you. Happy swimming.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so Jessica, you can type or you can chat. Oh, Jessica's chatting. All right, so Jessica says, yes, I do see experimenting and risk-taking. So since your answer is yes, Jessica, can you give us one or two examples of what to you kind of jumps out as experimentation and or risk-taking? And while Jessica's thinking, RJ, did you send a compilation of your concentration pieces to me today?
I did. Did you not get them?
Well, I think I might have gotten them. I was just thinking, I think an email popped in from you. Is it this?
I believe so. If not, I'll send them to you real quick.
I think this is it. So we're given... it doesn't look like the images are all on that one.
Okay.
It's just the like, you have the rubric, you have the questions. You don't have all the pieces. So if you want to work on sending that to me, because then we can pop that up.
I just sent it to you real quick.
Okay, so I'll pop back over into my email then. So back to Jessica's response. So she said, I see a lot in all of the details, which must have taken a long time. Also, the theme which is displayed in the scenery is very unique, and it is something I would think would be hard to make 12 pieces out of, and it looks great. The other thing, which is kind of hard to see when you're seeing these images at this size, but he's also started to bring some collage elements into the pieces. Like this little part back here, which I know you can't see at all, has some collage. And in some of his future pieces that he hasn't included yet, more and more of the detail is coming through with collage elements. So you can kind of look forward to seeing those in the weekly feedback videos that I post as well. Jessica says, this is really cool. I want to use collage in my work. Collage is a great way, and it's also, once you kind of get the hang of it, it can help to speed things up because you're not necessarily doing all of the work yourself. We are going to, Natalia says, collages are my nightmares. We're going to have you stay away from those. No more nightmares. We are going to jump down to Kaylee. Did she get back on? Okay. So Kaylee, can you let me know, can you see anything yet? Or are you still just staring at a computer screen? Oh, yay. Okay, so much better. So if you want to tell us what your concentration statement is, and then we'll chat. I can see the screen. Okay, so her concentration is Chinese cartoons. So the first thing we're going to talk about is based on the concentration idea or statement of Chinese cartoons. Do you think that that is clearly showing through in these 8 pieces that we're looking at?
I could definitely see it, and I think it comes through pretty clearly. This isn't really in the question, but the one that pops out at me I really like is the first one, the fourth one, and the fifth one are some that pop out.
And why do those pop out at you?
Each for different reasons. The fifth one, because it contrasts nicely. It adds to your statement, yet it's different from the others. Like it looks like very traditional Chinese art.
Okay.
And okay.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Oh yeah, no, and I think that contrasts pretty well with it. And I also like the fourth one because of the fog effect. From what I could tell, it looks like there's some fog in there, and I like that.
So if we are looking at these 8 pieces, do you think that this is the best order to demonstrate growth and transformation?
I think it's pretty nice. However, I think it can be mixed up a little, but it might just be some of them are still in progress. Mm-hmm. Like number 5 looks like it's still in a lot of progress, as does number 6. I would trade those out for number 1, and especially because 5, 6, and 2 are made of so much gray and white, probably graphite, that they just start looking like, I don't know, it kind of breaks it up too much from 3, 4, 7, and 8. It looks more like a square effect. So maybe just switch them around a little or add some color to them, because otherwise they just kind of stick out a little too much, even though they look nice.
Mm-hmm. Those are all good observations, and these are things that we kind of have to pay attention to when we're putting it all together. That one way that people are going to be viewing it is in this whole thing. And so you're totally right. Right now, just because of how things happen to line up, we have these 3 images that are kind of gray, creating this like L shape. And so it makes kind of a strange break in the work, that if one was kind of maybe bumped up here, it wouldn't be so glaring. The other thing is I would actually potentially move 1 all the way down to the end. And I know all of you can't see this quite as well as I could when they were all really big. But number 1, there's more overlapping going on in this piece. So this is probably number 1, and then number 8 are the strongest compositionally. They have some movement. They have depth happening in them. Number 1 has some really beautiful detail on the water on the lake. Can you tell us a little bit about how you did the water detail on the lake in number 1, Kaylee? And I'm going to see if I can just zoom in on that one, but it might not let me. While you type. It's not going to let me make it as big as I want to make it. So you're all going to have to trust me. And so while Kaylee is working on telling us a little bit more about how she, kind of her technique to doing the water detail and what kind of material she used, what I would like to hear from one of you is if you're thinking about composition, so the composition as a whole, so how are the elements and principles of art working, how's the eye moving throughout the piece, which one would you choose as being the strongest, and then if you could share a couple reasons as to why you've chosen that one as the strongest.
I think 1 and 8 are definitely the strongest simply because they lead the eye more, and even though 4 is really nice, I like the idea. I'm thinking it was drawn on paper, and the other 2 look like they could be digital art, although I'm not sure. And just the way number 4, it just kind of looks ripply to me. So yeah, and then the 3 and 7 are nice. I just think 3 maybe the background where it's a lighter blue could add maybe a little bit more shadows, just so it looks like it's a little bit more texture and it's not quite so broken.
Yeah, we could even potentially like show a really faded like mountain behind it or something that just creates a little bit more depth into the scene. So Kaylee popped in and told us a little bit about what she did in this lake. So she said, I used soft gel to create the water effect. I drew the koi fish before I put the gel on top, and I used collage to create the lily pads. Well, Kaylee, in my opinion, you should play with that technique some more, especially when this was bigger. It's really, really beautiful, and it's something that from everything I've seen from you, you look the most comfortable with and you look the most confident. So go ahead and go crazy with that. All right.
And this has a bit. Oh yeah, and just I agree. I agree that 1 and 8 are very strong. I think they're all strong in their own sense. I think I know I've been saying this, but I'm just kind of noticing the colors. Probably because I'm in the coloring process of my own work, but I think that you have a very broad range of colors here. I think that really brings out something nice in the pieces, in my opinion.
Well. And
your style shows very well, and I think in the 4th one as well.
I just wanted to add something real quick.
Sure.
For number 5, I think what you're doing is pulling on a lot of traditional Chinese pictures, and I think that's really cool. Maybe something you could add is lettering. That's what I did for one of my pieces, and it's really fun. Just, I don't know, maybe you could look up a series of words or something that you could tie into your concentration and just translate them into Chinese. And that would break up, I think, a lot of the space. And a lot of Chinese traditional art uses the letterings too.
Yeah. Well, so we are going to, these are kind of these are broken up, but we're still going to look at them. So we're going to kind of jump through. Natalia, this is yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can tell us your concentration statement, and then we'll go for it.
My concentration statement is just exploring all the places in the world I want to visit, and I'm focusing a lot on watercolor, and yeah.
That's cool.
My written statement is a lot more in depth, though.
That's okay. We just need the general idea. So I'm going to flip through so you can see all of her pieces, and then we'll talk a little bit about them. So this is one of the Northern Lights that I know you said you were kind of struggling with. So I'm not going to talk about it now, probably, but I will do it in another video. So I just went and was kind of like Googling other images of the Northern Lights, which is what all of these are, to start to get some ideas. So we'll talk about that. But then these are some more pieces, and I think most of what I have up right now, I know are kind of in progress. So actually, since they're all in progress, why don't we talk about this one for you? So one of her things she was saying with this one, so this is of the Northern Lights, which you can see in these guys right here. So these are all photographs of the Northern Lights that I just pulled up to kind of get more of a visual feel, a visual reference. So looking at those images and then looking at her drawing, what are some ideas that you think would maybe make this piece stronger?
First of all, the depth is really good, and great job on that. I could definitely see where you'd be having some struggles with the Northern Lights. So they're pretty complex and stuff. So what if I had to give a tip? I'd say play around with different colors. Try with different mediums. Like maybe get a smaller notebook and just try drawing Northern Lights on there. Maybe you want to splash a few colors on there, or maybe you'll want to play around. One thing is play around with opacity. If you'll notice, like making some paint thinner, some thicker, because you'll notice that the Northern Lights kind of fade off.
Are you using watercolor in this one?
Yes, and I've ordered some Prismacolor pencils, and they should be getting here tomorrow. So I'm actually going to totally rework it, just because it's frustrating me and it's easier for me. The more I work on it, the more frustrated I get. So I'm just going to rework it.
Yeah, I think so. Some of the things which RJ kind of said, and I was thinking. So part of what's kind of holding this piece back at the moment is there's like a distinct starting and stopping of the lights, where if we look at most of these images, even in this one, I kind of pulled because it had a similar idea of what you're doing. There still isn't, like, they still fade a little bit into the other sky, so not having quite as crisp of a line happening, as well as I would do the same thing with where you're starting to overlap the colors, have them fade into each other more than they currently are. So not having them be, they need to be blurred out a little bit more. I think will make it a huge difference. I pulled this one just because it had the houses happening in it, and you have houses going on up here. So the other thing that may be helpful to get more of the feeling of the Northern Lights, and I know this piece is just in progress, but overall to take the whole piece as being darker, so that we get, like, this part right here in the front isn't really giving me the feeling that it's nighttime or that it's even dark out. It really looks like it's like morning or midday. So I think taking the whole thing down to a darker value, which is also going to be helpful in your concentration, because you do have this wonderful color palette that you're working in, but having a piece where you kind of leave that color palette a little bit is going to be another way that you're showing risk-taking and experimentation by going a little bit darker than what you usually go for.
Okay, those are good ideas.
Cool. So, and again, if you get those Prismacolors and are struggling with it, you can send it and I'll give you more feedback.
Okay.
I'm going to jump into my email and see if, yep.
Just one thing I wanted to add is I know how that feels, because I've like had some pretty cool ideas in my head that like sound real cool, but then when I get them on paper, it's a bit harder to achieve. Mm-hmm. One question that I had for you is, do you have like or are you familiar with any digital art like programs like Photoshop or Painter or something?
Yeah, I have Adobe Creative Cloud, so I have Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator.
Okay, me too. Cool. One thing that if you want to experiment a little bit, if you're getting frustrated with it, I'd say you could go into Photoshop, kind of experiment with a soft brush tool maybe.
Okay.
With the different shades, that may accomplish it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do it digitally.
Yep, so you can do that. The other thing, if you don't love working digitally or if computers make you mad, if you're trying something and you're not sure how it's going to look, is always just grab a piece of tracing paper, put it right on top of the image that you're working on, and draw on top of that tracing paper. And so it starts to give you a little bit of a better sense of how that's going to look, so you know if making that change is actually going to do something beneficial, or if making that change is going to do something that is not helpful.
Okay.
All right, RJ, you are our last one. Let's see who's still left. We've got 3 of you hanging out. Cool. So, can you tell us your concentration statement, RJ?
Okay, so I have 3 completed works here right here. I still have a lot more in progress. My concentration is telling a story through characters and their environments. So the story I'm telling is about kind of like life and death and the afterlife, and As you'll see, the first piece, it's a character. And you'll meet throughout the pieces, the story. You'll meet 4 characters.
Okay.
You'll meet 4 characters each, like in their lifetime. They all lived in a different time period in a different place. So you'll see them as their life, and then you'll see them in the afterlife form.
Okay. Cool. So looking at these 3 pieces, let's chat about letter C, because I don't think we've talked about that very much. So letter C is the idea of originality and innovative thinking. So as you're looking at these pieces, do you see originality and innovative thinking coming through really strongly? If yes, why do you say that? If no, what do you think would make it stronger?
It's kind of hard for me to say right now since there's only 3.
Right.
But I guess if you're doing, I don't know, if I was judging it based on these 3, I'd say maybe you'd get a 4-5, maybe a high 4, a 5. What I think when I see this is automatically Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's a big compliment. Thank you.
I think though it looks very, very similar. So I think maybe you can still play around with a little bit more originality, just kind of springboard off of his stuff. It's really nice though. Like you have a lot of depth, just like with the character development though. You can be, I think, you could push it a little farther to make it less Tim Burton looking and more like RJ looking. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, very much. Thank you. I really appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, so, and that's always a challenging thing to do at any point as an artist. And so even as you're thinking about that, RJ, so what you might want to do, because a lot of times we don't really necessarily even realize sometimes how much inspiration we're pulling from other artists, because we're not just kind of sitting there copying them. It's just because you're exposed to them a lot. So a good way for you to kind of check in would be to actually pull up some of Tim Burton's characters and just get out a piece of paper and write down what would you write as defining characteristics of Tim Burton's characters, and then what would you write down as defining characteristics of your characters currently. And then for each character, just think of one thing that you could shift to turn it more into RJ's characters. And the reason I'm saying just one thing is that helps keep it from getting too overwhelming, because designing a character in itself is challenging and you have to put a lot of thought into that. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to redo this whole thing, it kind of gets overwhelming and gets you stuck. So instead, you were looking at this woman and thinking, what's one thing that I could do to make it more RJ? So some of the currently things that are common to Tim Burton's are kind of all of his characters tend to have these really long, lanky bodies and arms, and they tend to have the bigger head and the bigger eyes. So playing with your proportions. So maybe you decide maybe they're going to have smaller eyes and they're going to have a bigger mouth. Or maybe their body is actually going to be a larger size, or maybe their head is going to look like it actually should fit their body. But I would say just pick one thing, because otherwise it will start to feel really overwhelming, and I don't want you to get there.
Okay.
I also wanted to add that Salvador Dali, I think he also inspired Tim Burton in a way, because a lot of his paintings include very elongated arms and legs. You might want to look at that, and maybe you could sort of mash the two of those ideas together.
That's a great recommendation. Are you
sure.
familiar with Salvador Dali, RJ?
I'm actually not, though, but thank you for that that recommendation. If you could type that in the chat box, that would be very helpful.
I just typed his last name in there. He'll come up.
Great, I will definitely check him out.
He's a surrealist artist, and he's pretty out there. But yeah, that would be a great place for you to reference. Cool. So I think we got through Whoops. I'm going to come back.
Oh, I actually am very, I am familiar with his work.
Okay.
I just realized that. It's great.
Cool.
I'd love to look at more of it.
Yeah. So I think we got through pretty much everybody today. So you're working on your illuminated manuscripts right now. And then I put up some videos this week. They don't come with any extra assignment because you currently have enough assignments going on. Just to give you a little bit more information about, you're looking at Japanese woodblock prints. And so part of the reason I picked that is because we have two of you that are kind of pulling from that type of style. And there's a video that shows a little bit of the process of woodblock printing. I'll send this out in an email, but I'll say it now just since you're on as well. If you're interested in potentially trying printmaking some yourself or learning more about the actual process of doing printmaking, just let me know and I'll put together a demonstration as well as kind of give you a list of materials that you would need to buy if you want to try printmaking. Other than that, I think we are done for tonight. So it looks like we had 3 of you hang out the whole time. So thank you. And any last questions or anything that you need from me? Cool. Well, then have a wonderful evening. It was great getting to look at all the concentrations and hear your thoughts with all of you. And keep the work coming, and I will keep emailing things back out to you. Bye.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
And thanks everyone for the feedback. I really appreciate it. Have a great week.
You too. Bye.